Good afternoon, everyone. I am SREEJITH, founder and CEO of Global Institute of Integral Management Studies, India, and I'll be the moderator of this session. It is indeed a privilege to welcome all of you to today's profound exploration of a subject that has the power to shape nations, transform societies, and give individual lives value-based education. It is heartening to see such a distinguished gathering, students, educators, thought leaders, and enthusiasts who share a passion for integrating attributes of values within educational structures. Value-based education is not only just an approach, but a movement towards fostering global citizens who are not only intellectually capable, but also morally grounded. Education systems to inculcate values such as respect, integrity, service, and consciousness responsibility is more pressing than ever before. Our panel today consists of 5 distinguished experts who are passionately engaged with and contributed to this field, both theoretically and practically. They will guide us through the multifaceted aspects of values-based education, its implementation, challenges, and immense benefits for the next 45 minutes. Allow me to introduce our esteemed panelists. Delia MAMON, President and Founder, Grace D. Paix Foundation. Stephen Park, Professor Kyung University, and he will be participating in the discussion online. Olivia BINA, Principal Researcher and Deputy Director of the Institute of Social Sciences, University of London. She is also the Fellow of World Academy of Art and Science. She is also coming online. Kadircan, KESKINBORA, representing Bahçeşehir University. 5th is Son, KARADENIZ, educational technologist, former rector again from Bahçeşehir University. And finally, Thilagam JAYAVELU, principal Aurochild International Schools, India, also comes online directly from India. Together, our panelists bring a wealth of knowledge, experience, and enthusiasm to the table, promising an insightful and engaging discussion. As we delve into the session, I encourage everyone to reflect on how we can collaboratively contribute to reshaping our educational systems to better serve the holistic needs of students today and tomorrow. Now, without further ado, let's warmly welcome our panelists and begin our journey into the transformative realm of value-based education. Each of you panelists can take 5 minutes to introduce your points and 2 minutes for further discussion or making a concluding statement. Last 3 minutes to attend 1 or 2 questions, if any. Thank you. Over to you.
Dear Chair, dear audience, hello. The essence of my speech is to values-based education. Is that to give the ethical sensitivity in students' education, not only for their scientific knowledge, but also the ethical sensitivity for the future students, for the future. It's not enough to do this only in formal educational institutions. And I believe that this should be reported through visual and auditory methods and constantly refreshed throughout life and the artistic and cultural activities. I want to ask you about, and beginning with this question. With ordinary people develop the following weapons: atomic bombs, hydrogen bomb, guided missiles, hypersonic missiles, autonomous killer robots, and space lasers. Then, let's go on. And I would like to quote two important figures from antiquity and the 20th century. The first is Protagoras, and tell that it is dangerous to give power to an immoral person as it is to give a sword to a madman. And according to Theodore Roosevelt, the president of USA, to educate a man in mind and not in morals is to educate a menace to society. Then I guess you can understand that from the first slide of my understanding that these were done by the educated person, not ordinary persons. And giving only scientific knowledge without moral values should be very, very dangerous to the society or the life. And I want to give you an example from my specialty, that medical ethics. I give that study as a very, very important example to my students. Tuskegee study. In this study, the syphilitic patients were not given treatment and they were lied by the doctors and the nurses. We are giving you treatment, but it was a lie. They give no treatment and went on the study to understand or to watch the last stage after death of the patient. And this study went on from 1932 towards 1970, 40 years. Dear friends, in this period, the Second World War finished. And during the Second World War, all of you know that the penicillin discovered. And penicillin is a very good treatment agent for syphilis. And these patients not given treatment with penicillin. In spite of these doctors and nurses know that they could be treated with penicillin. This was a big lie. And then the Second World War stopped, finished, and then the Nazi doctors understood that they made very dangerous studies on human beings. And then in Nuremberg, there was a court and given some punishments to the doctors. And after that, the court wanted to give some rules about the studies done on the human beings. And in spite of these rules, in spite of the knowing that the Nazis study, this study went on towards 1972. And at the end, you see that here, there was somebody that can live in spite of syphilis, and then Bill Clinton made an apologize to these guys. This was very, very big lie, big fault. And this fault was done by the educated, specialized doctors. And at the end of this study, there was a big institute, United States Public Health Organization. Here, I want to show you two journalists' books. One is Bad Medicine, the other Bad Pharmacy, or Bad Pharma. Really, in unethical clinical trials still being conducted in developing countries give big harms to human beings, to the volunteers. Unethical clinical trials in Africa, unethical trials in India. And by means of the study of the journalist, it's discovered and understood, and the website is told. Then the essence of value-based education is very, very important for us. Undoubtedly, academic excellence is a crucial aspect of students' journey, but we should be aware of character development inequality-wide. Then we should give the education not only the science, but also the ethical sensitivity. How can this be done? This can be done by setting an example to be a role model. The teachers or educators should be a role model for the students. That students be realized the role model, understand and accept it, and personalize this model for him or for her. Integrated the curriculum with values. Then that is the main subject of this session. Then promoting critical thinking, creating a respectful classroom culture and community service and experiential learning about it. Here you can see two primary bits. In one, how can we build these ethical sensitive students by knowing the important knowledge and then knows how you will build yourself, your personality and your sensitivity, and then it should be shown to you, then show how you will be, and then this will be to you, to be in your individualized manner. And it's not important giving you only in the school. It should be repeated in lifelong impact. And essence of my speech in the values-based section is to emphasize that instilling ethical values in students at every stage. And the last stage, I want to give you an example. This is a high school principal in Germany used to send following letter to his teachers. I am a concentration camp survivor. My eyes saw things that no human being should ever see. Gas chambers built by well-educated and trained engineers. Children poisoned by well-educated and trained doctors. Babies dying from injections given by nurses who knew their job well. People shot and burned by high school and university graduates. This is why I doubt education, and this is what I ask of you. Strive to make your students human. May your efforts not produce knowledge monsters and skilled psychopaths. Reading, writing, arithmetic are only important if they help your children to become more human. Thank you very much for your attention.
So the second speaker is Delia MAMON, President and Founder, Raise the Paix Foundation.
Yes. Please. So, hello everyone, and greetings. And my question is, before I start speaking, is how many of you are studying something that is related to this subject? Are you in education or social sciences? Let's start with education. How many of you are in education, learning? Okay. Social sciences? Okay. Psychology? Bit more. Science? No. Literature? Teaching? No? A few? Okay. So my presentation is going to be interesting for all of you because there's all these angles. And it follows beautifully from our guest speaker here because he talked about the importance of humaneness, being a human being. And as much as teachers need to refocus away from math and abstract math and abstract learning, reading and writing, to very concrete math, concrete reading and writing, focus on how to help children be humane. And I have another question for you. So listen carefully. Can one inculcate human values? Raise your hand if you believe so.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes? Is it possible to inculcate, to instill human values through rote learning? Okay, so actually, I think no, and I think the only way to teach human values is to live them, is to practice them every day, and guess where? Inside the classroom, from age 12, K1, there's a kindergarten, till all the way up to university included. And so I'm going to explain how we do that. So we can turn can I ask you to turn okay. So let's just look at a few issues why we have to do this work of focusing on human values. The first one is that there's huge learning poverty. What does that mean? It's what we heard just before from Madame Bokova. Children have been put into school, but they don't learn. And you have the example here in Turkey, because if you take a taxi, they don't even know how to say hello, how are you, and thank you. And they don't understand the name of the hotel. So there's a huge gap between the fact that they went to school and the fact that they learned something. So think about what could change that. And the first thing is the relationship between the teacher and the student. So it's how the teacher can value each student. And we'll look at that in more detail. And the second thing is worldwide, there is more and more student unwellness, i.e. mental health issues of depression, not knowing who one is. We need to address that. And maybe you're personally concerned. So the third issue is AI has many qualities, but it will weaken human relationships because it puts us into the hole, into the tunnel of being oneself with the screen. And then, as you may know, violence is up everywhere in the world. Even in my beautiful country of Switzerland, violence is up. In the classroom, violence is up. Outside the classroom, where children play, violence is up. What do we do about it when we see the wars going on? So just a word, I have an NGO called Graines de Paix in French, and it's about innovating for quality education, how to transform learning, to end violence, and to foster peace with society and nature. And we need to imagine future education that's from kindergarten up to university included, and also lifelong learning, that it concerns a number of actors. And you notice that I'm not saying benefactors. The actors are the students themselves from age 4, the teachers and old people that are above the teachers that train the teachers, and the parents. And then there's the family units, and you can go on and on. And then for which goals are we working for? Why is it so important to teach about human values? The first thing is that it brings fulfillment. It makes you feel good about yourself. It makes you feel good because you receive an attitude that is with human values, and it feels good when you do it yourself. Makes you feel very good inside when you do it. The second one, it gives you agency. It means it gives you the energy, the ability to go out and do things. And the third thing is makes you employable, because if you don't have these skills, you will lose out in the job market. And you will lose out if you're an entrepreneur. And the next thing is that we have societal goals. We need engagement. And engagement comes from within. It's an energy from within. For that, we need self-esteem. So we need to develop human values for these goals. And lastly, for transmission, when children are 5, 20 years later, they're parents. And we must never forget that, because they will themselves transmit either good things or hate discussions. So the beneficiaries are actually not the children only, but the whole society, countries, and of course the planet. How to do this education? We are rethinking education completely, and we consider that there are 4 building blocks that education, future or actually present education should have. And that is teacher style, that is with human values, teaching strategies, that is organizing the classroom so that children are interacting with each other in small groups where they are developing and practicing human values. Then it's actually learning about the values and how life skills and peace skills are totally built upon human values. And the fourth one is, throughout all this, there are activities that are experiential, and you're doing things and you're feeling them, and maybe can be a project activity, can be a school activity, and it's the way that you practice human values. And I will focus on the fourth one, but in all of these, we are creating awakeness, mutual caring, and zero violence, because violence is a huge issue and it can only be dealt with integrating in oneself human values for ourselves. So here are some human values. It's not a full list, but it's a synthetic view. Most people think tolerance is a high value, but if you think about it, if you are just tolerated, you don't feel happy. So a child that is tolerated is not happy. So a teacher who's just tolerating is making unhappy children. That is, a teacher who's tolerating difference because he or she doesn't appreciate it. It doesn't work. Respect, very high value in Switzerland. But respect has an advantage, but it has a disadvantage. It's cold. It's neutral. There's no feeling, no heart-to-heart connection. And so the person who's the child doesn't feel much. Consideration, a kindness, has been a solution that the education world has been saying is the solution. It's not. Kindness is not enough. Kindness is nice. It helps, but it doesn't help the child grow. It doesn't tell him he has to reach higher. It tells him it's okay. And then consideration is actually showing the child that he has value. You're considering him. You're giving him value in his own eyes. And then appreciation is showing that when he or she does something, it's appreciated. And it has to be relative to who that person is. So if the person is 5 years old, you have to appreciate what a 5-year-old child can do, not what a 20-year-old student can do. And then empathy is having consideration at a higher level, which is, for example, the child has problems at home. How can you show him empathy in the classroom? And then fraternity is creating this feeling of togetherness amongst all the students. Now we're going to see what are the effects. Please look. In the first case, on the bottom, if we're just between tolerance and respect, students feel excluded. If you are somewhere between respect and kindness, students feel accepted. Okay. But if you show consideration and appreciation, students feel valued. And if you're showing empathy and there's fraternity inside the classroom, students flourish. And this is what education is about. It's how to make a person, a young person, as a human being, flourish in all dimensions, not just in the study dimension. So when we do this between students, mental health goes up, bullying goes down. When it's teachers doing it or parents doing it, school success goes up, which is the goal of education, and violence prevention is achieved or better achieved. And on society, we finally reach human security, which is the subject of these 3 days, the link between future of education and human security, harmony, which is much better yet than human security, a cohesiveness, which is the main thing missing in our societies today. When you're attracted by this side or that side, and you're pulled into a polarization that you know inside yourself is wrong. And then societal peace means that you can walk the streets, talk whoever you want to, bring up subjects that may be difficult and still be able to do it and not fear for your life. And care for the planet all goes together. So let's now just 2 minutes on AI. Does AI help teaching styles? The answer is no. Does it help teaching strategies? A little. Does it help values and competencies? Not values, but a little bit competencies. And does it help experiential activities? That depends on how inventive we are. What it does do, and that's where we need to focus, it's the self-learning. So when you're teaching, there's a part that is done in the classroom, and there's a part that one does by curiosity on one's own. So when one is self-learning, we can program AI, generative AI, to help children and students and adults actually not only use it, but make searches that are going to make them grow. And it will give them learning guidance and can consolidate learning, like you're learning a language, you can consolidate your language skills, and you can have fun also. You can make competitions with AI. So the educational advantages of including human values into education is that children develop self-esteem, reciprocity, proactivity, and children then, they feel better, they learn better, they interact better, and they engage better. And I think that's it. And just a few more words, we put emphasis, do put emphasis if you're in the teaching profession or in any profession in relationship to human beings, put in the emotional intelligence. This is to be learned from the earliest age, and it helps prevent violence to a large extent. Put the emphasis on reflection and discernment and no longer on memorization. Learning how to think is much more important than learning to memorize, except in medicine. And problem solving, very important in medicine. And issues that are related to consciousness and engagement, as we heard today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Delia MAMON, for your wonderful words. Now we can hear to Olivia BINA, Principal Researcher and Deputy Director at Institute of Social Sciences, University of London.
Hello, good morning and good afternoon. I'm delighted and sorry I'm not there in presence. I was not able to travel at this time, but I'm delighted to share some thoughts on this wonderful topic. And I hope I can weave some threads together with the talks that just came on by KESKINBORA and Professor MAMON. My premise is simple, that in order for humanity to be secure, I stand with the many who would argue that all life needs to be secure for that to happen. And I will make an argument that will follow a journey from cynicism to what I hope is wonder, a sense of wonder. And I take a leaf from a great writer and thinker, Oscar Wilde, who in 1892 wrote a play entitled Lady Windermere's Fan. And I think many will be familiar with the quote from a character, Lord Darlington, who comments on what it is to be a cynic, a man who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. And I'm going to take you on a journey from here to the wonder that I want to aim for. So this definition of cynicism makes me wonder whether the education system we have so carefully developed over the decades is one that is indeed about cynicism and that develops the ingredients of cynicism. And I'm going to offer an example of one of the most powerful disciplines in my field, economics, mainstream economics, which is characterized by its extractive ethos and could be seen as a discipline that invents the ingredients of cynicism. I quote some: the notion of the individual, the notion of externalities, of property, private property, of efficiency as opposed to resilience, and finally, the impossible to pronounce homogenization force that is so dear to mainstream economics and that has triggered so much loss of the extraordinary, beautiful diversity that this planet has offered us. Now, economics is not only a discipline, it is power, it is considered the tutor of governments, and within education, it has spread its values and its ingredients of cynicism, as I would like to suggest, across many, if not most, of our disciplines. Certainly the way of knowing that is characteristic of mainstream education and our world views. And the result is endless litany of crises. Now, where to go from here? I would like to say that our challenge here is to reimagine both ourselves as humans and our worlds, and that education could be a wonderful means to this end. To imagine ourselves, therefore, as other than these ingredients of cynicism that I have tried to argue exist through our system of education. Now, how can we then, the shift that I would like to point to, and that has been pointed to so many times over the last century, if not earlier, is a shift away from a system of knowledge that is reductionist and cynic, to a way of knowing that is emergent, that is plural and diverse, and that therefore beats and eliminates that force of homogeneity, which is so dear to economics and to so much else in our system of education. I would like us to engage with all the science that has already been published, discussed, argued for, away and beyond a mutilated way of knowing, towards intersectional, interdependent, and interconnected ways of knowing that would allow us to see different problems and certainly different solutions. And here, in parenthesis only, I see a possible role for an AI that is very clearly and ethically shaped and driven. Close parenthesis. I would like for me, the value-based education that is at the heading of our session here, I would like it to embrace an ethos of reconnection to life, thinking of the first speaker too. Learning about all that makes our planet as magnificent a life-conducive home, as has been proven by Western science and argued, described, and written about over millennia by many other traditions and worldviews. We should leave the education system knowing why the world is so beautiful. These are the words of Robin Kimmerer, North American scientist, who challenged the Western education system, arguing that the question of why the world is so beautiful had substance, and she proved it. So an invitation to re-enchant humans with life is the invitation that I'd like to offer here. To find the courage, all of us who are involved directly and indirectly in education, to move beyond the language of emergencies, beyond the language and the ethos of solutionism, and back to a learning, a listening, and the cultivation of a disposition so precious, that is the disposition towards humility, necessary to listen as well as to learn. I would like a new education to be a movement towards human potential through the embracement of the notion labeled interbeing by the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, but also a term now more common that invites us to be in relation with the world as opposed to any other form of brutality or violence. So I'd like to close by saying that an education, value-based education, hopefully, is ushered through a grand shift away from this reductionist and cynical set of ingredients towards a life-honoring science, knowledge, methods, and values. And in particular, the growing idea of an ethic of life where we can all contribute to create the conditions conducive to life and therefore security for all. Thank you.
Stephen Park, Professor, please start your presentations.
Okay, well, thank you. And thank you for all your presentations, speakers. It was quite a learning opportunity for me, and so it's a privilege to join this important session on value-based education. I'm deeply grateful to be a part of this wonderful session, of which the topic itself is very close to my heart. It focuses on our shared responsibility as educators of our time to create a peaceful and sustainable future for all. For the last 2 decades or so, I have been blessed to involve in responsible management education movement, focusing on the emerging new paradigm of business management, era of stakeholder capitalism. In the paradigm of stakeholder management, business corporations pertain higher purpose that transcends profit maximization and integrates both social value and economic value while running business and achieving its mission and purpose. Of course, the whole purpose of responsible management education is to cultivate our young minds and have them fully ready for the flourishing future for all as responsible business leaders. Dear colleagues, we are at a critical juncture in human history. I often describe this as a choice between 2 paths, one leading to breakthrough and one leading to breakdown. The path we choose will affect not just our safety, but also the future of all life on Earth. As a professor of management, it is very important to recognize that corporate management can find breakthroughs at this critical juncture of our time. This is because today's global companies possess significant power in terms of capital, resource, technology, and human networks. Above all, the market experiences of stakeholders surrounding corporate management, such as laborers and customers, inevitably influence their worldview. This complex systemic crisis of our world today are impossible to resolve without a shift in human consciousness. To move forward to the sustainable and flourishing future, we must move away from a mechanical, zero-sum, cynical worldview and embrace a life, ecological, positive-sum worldview. I believe this new stakeholder management paradigm can contribute to this shift in human consciousness. During my career as a business professor in responsible management education, I have stressed the importance of combining professional education, like management studies, with liberal arts education. This combination builds critical thinking, ethical leadership, and sense of connection with others. This approach matches the goals of value-based education. Educators and universities must guide students not only succeed in life, but also make a positive impact on humanity. Dear colleagues, today we face challenges like AI, environmental crisis, regional international conflicts, and inequality. To meet these challenges, education must focus on universal human values, values that bring us together across cultures, economies, and technologies. Let's aim for an education system that creates responsible leaders and citizens who protect our planet and care for the well-being of all. In this session, we'll discuss. I expect that we can discuss these ideas can be put into practices in different fields and levels of education. Thank you so much.
JAYAVELU, Principal, Aurochild International School, to have a presentation.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to speak on the transformative potential of value-based education. It's an approach that is essential for addressing the pressing needs, challenges of a rapidly evolving world. Education is not merely a transfer of knowledge or skills, but transformative force that shapes individuals and societies. In a rapidly evolving world filled with challenges such as technological advances, social distractions, etc., psychological complexities, the need for value-based education has never been more critical. Now let me tell the essence of education. Let us consider a simple anecdote. In most of the schools where I travel, when young students were asked what education meant to them, their answers varied widely from like becoming scientists, engineers, etc., etc. But only one child insightfully responded that I can become an intelligent. This simple yet profound remark reflects the true purpose of education, not just gaining the knowledge, but developing the capacity to think, feel, and act integrally, intelligently, and morally. So education in its truest sense must foster the spirit in life, giving rise to values such as honesty, loyalty, integrity, and truthfulness. Education must go beyond the intellect to integrate values into life. It must awaken the spirit, making life itself a pursuit for higher meaning, abundance, and harmony. So, why are we in need of value-based education now? In today's world, we are confronted with paradoxical by two paradoxals. On one side, the need for rapid material progress, especially in developing nations. On the other side, the psychological disturbances, ethical crisis, and environmental degradation that threaten the global harmony. So education often is viewed as the cornerstone of societal development, but must evolve to become a part of solution rather than perpetuating these challenges. So traditional education systems have overemphasized skills and fragmented knowledge. They focus on intellectuals and technical expertise while neglecting the true values, attitudes, and psychological strength required for sustainable growth. This creates a society at innovation, but often ill-prepared to address the moral, interpersonal challenges that comes with progress. So what is the role of values in education? Values are the highest drivers of individual and collective success. They direct psychological energy and human potential as technical skills. Direct physical energy. A curriculum infused with values enhances not only achievement, but also personal fulfillment. Let us examine how values complement education. Firstly, integration of values and skills. For example, if you take writing, it's not just a skill. It requires discipline, patience, humility, and a sense of responsibility. Similarly, leadership or entrepreneurship, it also demands traits like tolerance, honesty, and empathy. When education includes these dimensions, it equips individuals to excel not only in the careers, but in the societal roles. Secondly, we have to interconnect learning as the principles of life-centered education. So these fragmented disciplines must be integrated. So that there are much more to say. With one more point, I'll conclude. So the third point is lifelong psychological development. The psychological values, open-mindedness, decisiveness, and integrity are lifelong assets. By fostering these traits, education helps individuals adapt to change, overcome obstacles, and contribute meaningfully to their communities. So let me conclude with a path forward. The future of education lies in its ability to create value-driven individuals who can lead meaningful lives and contribute to a harmonious society. If we can inspire our children to experience and live by the principle that truth is the only thing of value, we will have fulfilled our duty to the next generation. Education indeed, the yoga of society, a path to individual and collective enlightenment. By fostering a blend of knowledge, skills, and values, we can ensure that humanity not only survives the challenges ahead, but thrives in unity and purpose. This value-based education is not an utopian dream, but a pragmatic necessity. It is a pathway to producing well-rounded individuals who are capable of solving the complex problems of the future. So education must bridge the gap between the intellectual advancement and the ethical grounding, creating a society where progress is not at odds with humanity's deeper needs. Let us envision a world where education cultivates not only skilled professionals, but also very good citizens. A world where knowledge leads to wisdom and wisdom guides action. Together, we can nurture the seeds of values in the soil of education to harvest a brighter, more harmonious future to all. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Thilagam JAYAVELU. Last but not the least, CERN KARADENIZ, education technologist, former rector, again from Bahçeşehir University.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Being the last speaker means wrapping up this session. So I will try in 5 minutes, but you should be with me, okay? It's a great pleasure to be here. I'm the educational technologist. My field is educational technology, and I have extensive experience in educational management and higher education. So the first thing, did you read that book? Kafka Metamorphism. It's translated into Turkish Dönüşüm. Can I see the hands? Can I see the hands in Zoom? Did you read that one? So in that book, a person wakes up in the morning as a bug, and the whole life is changed, and he experienced through the new life. And we look about our life, we can see that we can only say there are changes in life or there are transformation in life, but in metamorphism. Think about the pandemic time, we were online, stucking in the Zoom. But after that, we have so many issues, political issues, we have wars in the world, and we have economic problems in the world, and also 2 years ago, especially in our country, we have a huge disaster, an earthquake. As you remember, we lost our loved ones. So we should use maybe metamorphism in life and metamorphism in education. Next slide. So as you see that picture, I believe the education should be the seed of a metamorphism of the humanity, and the values are the soil, which it means nurtured to grow sustainably across all levels of education. I totally agree with you. She also mentioned that we should incorporate values in every form of educational levels. Let's move to another one. And that's the question. So how can we ensure that education not only prepares students for the jobs, but also equips them to live a life in accordance with the universal values? So what are the universal values? I can give some examples. For example, equity, freedom, respect, integrity, love, and solidarity. So, as for that, answering that question, I only give you 2 examples from K-12. K-12 means from kindergarten to high school, from elementary school, secondary school, and high school experience. We develop an educational model which uses values as a solid, and it's an interdisciplinary approach, and we are doing it for 9 years. You see the numbers that 4,000 K-12 schools, 15,000 teachers, and 80,000 students. And we have universities and industry stakeholders. The slogan of that model is think, design, and produce together for humanity. And we have 4 principles, and we use the values as a solid. We incorporate interdisciplinary approach and research and design approach, and we go through the life problems, real life problems on a local, national, and universal level. And also we incorporate computational thinking skills such as programming, AI programming, or robotics. So what are the core findings of that 9 years of experiences? It's our students gain not only skills in problem solving, creativity, communication, or teamwork. They get skills, yes, but they develop their awareness of the values. They use values to produce some robotic solutions for the people in need. Teachers also learn that they develop their skills on as learners, as mentors, as researchers, and as designers. And we understand that coming together means creating a huge impact on the values education. The second, and then I think to myself that can I do it in a university? And we also develop some projects between engineering and faculty of law. We come together to work on the AI ethics. So it was really hard at first because engineering students doesn't understand the other students in law, but they didn't understand what they come together on the common values, especially on AI ethics. Let's go to the other example. But my second example after that one, especially working on the student clubs together, integrating different nationalities, I asked myself that can I do it in between the universities? So four universities come together from Turkey, Cyprus, Japan, and Germany. We created a one classroom, 5 professors and students from 17 nationalities. We work on sustainable development goals. These are, for example, poverty, climate change, quality in education, or clean energy. And they develop some solutions, not in localized, but they develop some solutions for Ecuador or some China and other parts of the world. So these examples show me that we can use values incorporating with the global citizenship and collaboration. And also it can lead innovation and sustainability. And UN Sustainable Development Goals really help us to move forward. These two examples show that values should be ground and it should be in action to teach whatever you teach. For the last word, I believe, and also I'm sure that our panelists will agree with me that with that sentence. So the future of education doesn't lie with the skills, competencies, and knowledge alone, but it lies with the wisdom. Wisdom to innovate responsibly, collaborate inclusively, design scientifically, and act ethically. Thank you very much.
Oh, we can take 2-3 minutes more. If you have questions, you can pose questions now.
So my first question is to Delia and MAMON. You showed on one of the slides that value-based education is going to be important for employability, if I'm not mistaken. But should we really think about that? Because I think cynical people are doing very well in terms of employment. And harmony, is harmony something we should strive to get? Because I think harmonious societies have done bad things as well.
Thank you for your 2 questions. Regarding employability, for me, the aspect is quite obvious when you look at the 2 or 3 aspects. First of all, to get a job, you have to convince a group of people that are the jury that will decide whether you are hired or not hired. And to do that, they're going to judge you not only on your the proof that you've done something or that you've studied something, but on your ability to co-create with the other people in the company. And that can be the simplest of companies, like a garage. I use this example on purpose, or it can be a plumbing company if you're not in higher education. But even in these lower, shouldn't say lower, but more hand professions or manual professions, sorry, being able to communicate with your team, with your boss, with your clients, is doing it in a warm way is absolutely essential for both the success of you and pleasure of doing your work, and of course for the organization who's paying for you. If you want to create your own company, you have to persuade people to join you. To do that, you have to have the ability to create human links with that person, so the person gets excited, motivated to do good work and to do it on the long term, not just the one day. I hope I've answered your question briefly. And let's.
Thank you. We can take one more question if it is there. So thank you very much. We understood that values are the most powerful intangible asset of an organization or a person. Values are divine in nature. Let all speakers told about one thing. Let's get reconnected to our life through values. Thank you very much.